Okay guys, so for once I'm actually going to be doing a book review, like a straight out book review. I'm going to try and keep it short, snappy, and I'm not really going to do that many spoilers, or at least there'll definitely be no spoilers at first, and actually no, this will be spoiler free. So I am doing a complete 100% spoiler free review of The Queen's Rising by Rebecca Ross. I read this book in 2 days and it is 435 pages, and I read it while I was at work, and as in like in the morning before work, at lunchtime, and in the evening. I actually took a lunch break specifically to read this book because I don't usually take one, so like I think it's safe to say I really enjoyed it. Funny thing is, I wasn't planning on enjoying it. It was one of those books that I thought, I might enjoy it. I sort of like the premise, I'll check it out. I definitely didn't like the front cover, and so I was like, I'll buy it on Kindle, I'll have a read. Within 50 pages, I had bought the paperback so I could shoot it for Instagram for you guys so that you could check it out too, and also because I prefer reviewing it on here with an actual book. So, The Queen's Rising is about Brianna. Brianna, for all intents and purposes, she's not quite an orphan. So she knew who her mum was, but her mum is now dead. She lives with her granddad at the start of this book, and she has no idea who her father was. All she knows is that her granddad hated her father and will not tell her who he is. All she knows is he's from Mavana. I'm gonna say Mavana because I can't pronounce it, so like we're gonna go with that. There are two regions in this book, Mavana and Valania, and at the start of the book there is one hell of an awesome map so that you can get your mind around it. There is also, which at the start of the book I thought, well, this is a little over the top. There's like full family trees and all of that jazz, like so you can properly get immersed in the world before you've even started reading it. I didn't, because I'd rather just start the book, but it's really helpful to refer back to. However, when you start reading the book, you sort of get it. So after the first chapter, her granddad has dropped her off at a passion school, which is basically a school which keeps you for anywhere from like 5 to 10 years, basically, depending on the school. Brianna is going to be there for 7 years, and she is learning to passion. A passion is when you can passion. It's not like you have passion for something. You are a passion. You have passion and you can passion, which basically means that you are like an absolute master in something. You devote all of your time and your mind and your hours to a specific topic. You can be a passion of wit, a passion of knowledge, a passion of music, a passion of theatre, and a passion of art. So there are 5 passions, I believe, although I haven't double checked that. And Brianna is not particularly great at anything. However, when her granddad tries to get her checked into this school because he's trying to hide her, so I should really give backstory to this. I'm like babbling. Let's start again. Brianna's granddad hates Brianna's dad. Brianna doesn't know who her dad is. Brianna's granddad wants to keep her safe from her dad, so takes her to a passion school so that she will be hidden and away and living in the passion school. The passion school only takes on one woman every 7 years in each of the passions, so in each of the 5 passions. However, they make an exception after they find out Brianna's father's name. So, the passion school know Brianna's father's name, but Brianna doesn't know Brianna's father's name. Have I said Brianna enough? Yeah. Anyway, that's not too important. It is later on in the book, but like, no spoilers here guys, so I'm not going to tell you why. So Brianna spends a couple of years at the start of the book trying to figure out what her passion is, because when you join a passion school, you generally are picked because you have an outstanding capability for that specific art. So you could be an absolute prodigy of music, and then you would become a passion of music, and you'll be taken to this school at like the age of 10 to become a passion of music. Brianna is only there to hide her from her father, so like, she doesn't really have a particular aptitude for anything. So she tries everything until eventually 3 years into her study, or 4 years into her study, 4 years into her study rather, she becomes a passion of knowledge. And she says to the master of the passion of knowledge, "Will you train me to be a passion in 3 years?" 3 years rather than 7, that's a pretty high task. But he agrees, and then she starts training to become a passion of knowledge, which is where we pick her up. She is a week, at the start of the book, she is basically a week from becoming a passion of knowledge and wisdom. Now, I mentioned the master of the passion of knowledge. He teaches the girls to become a passion of knowledge. However, he's called Cartier, and as you can probably tell by the way my face has changed, he is the heartthrob of the book. He doesn't sound like, he's described as handsome and whatever, but he doesn't sound particularly handsome. He isn't like that standard YA fantasy book of like bad boy turned good that you want to change. He isn't that. It's the fact that he is forbidden in a way that he is her master. Masters aren't allowed to touch the girls in any way. They are not allowed to smile or show favoritism or any kind of friendliness really, they're just teaching them. So Brianna obviously fancies Cartier a little bit, and I'm not gonna say he favors her, but he does a little bit. And he almost smiles for her in the first few chapters, which, because there's only ever usually one passion per art, there's two of them obviously because Brianna's been accepted partway through the years, and it doesn't go down well with the other girl that she's been favoured a little bit, shall we say, but it's anyway, I'm babbling. The thing that I really want to talk to you about in this book, guys, which I find the really exciting bit, is when Cartier is telling Brianna all about Mavana, which we know that Brianna is half Mavana, half Valanian, and she has most of the characteristics of a Valanian because she was brought up there, but some of her natural instincts are a little more Maven. So, for example, the Valanians are far more stiff upper lip, very well presented, they have good table manners, or what we would typically deem good table manners, they are polite, they are quite snooty, they have very strict standards of how you should present yourself. Mavana is a far more, I don't want to say base, but that's kind of all I can think of to describe it. It's far more instinctive, it's far more protective. The culture is more like fill your plate with food and like rip off the meat off the bones and like just enjoy yourself, give in to your desires, your passions, they are more impulsive, more violent, and they also herald from magic. So there are 14 families in Mavana, and these 14 families' households reminded me a little bit, if you've seen Outlander and the way the Scottish Highlands used to be divided up into the different houses and families and that sort of thing. It reminded me a lot of that. But back in the day, there was an original queen who was Liadan Kavanagh, and Kavanagh is one of the 14 houses. And the Kavanaghs have magic in their veins, which makes them sort of a level higher than all the other families, I guess, because all the other families don't have magic. And one of the histories that Cartier is telling Brianna is that they made a stone which housed all of their magic because it was too powerful to have sort of everybody to have this magic floating around, and they locked it into one single stone. And as long as one woman of the family of Kavanagh was wearing the stone at any one time, they could all use and wield their magic. Now, two things it's important to know. One, you could not use magic in battle because it was far too unpredictable and it would basically cause death to everybody, so that's the first one. And two, women are always queens in Mavana except now. So historically, women were always queens because women were the only people who could wield magic, and they were actually the more dominant gender. They are stronger, they are better with knives and fighting, they are just considered the more dominant gender, which was quite exciting to see. However, now there is a king on the throne, and this is new in the last like 200 years, I believe it is, and so the reason that Cartier is telling Brianna all about this history is because of that, because she's half Maven. I keep saying Mavana and Maven, I'm not sure which, but I can't tell you anymore, but I will tease you a little bit and say that the history comes back to bite Brianna a little bit. She learns where her family comes from. She does eventually get to go to the country of Mavana. That's all I'm gonna say, I think. Other than, I gave this 5 out of 5 because I absolutely loved it and I think you should read it, and if you haven't read it yet, read it and then let me know below what you thought. And if you have read it, if enough of you have, I will do a spoiler review because I have so many thoughts on this book and I haven't even touched on them. I basically just told you what the book's about. So yeah, check out The Queen Rising, it's really great. And if you like this video, guys, make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, check me out on Book Sundays on Instagram, and I post every Wednesday and Saturday. So check back soon and have a lovely day.